We'll be back from the break. It is Smart Men's Business. You be the first to know. Get the latest updates coming in from the business world. Well, pretty much a week where we will say starting on a high note for the side of the borders. However, the security threat, like I was mentioning, that according to some of the events that happened in Munyonyo, to all people living around Mulungo, people living around Salama Road, people living around the Jahazi, so all people living in that neighborhood of Munyonyo, you can bear witness with me with some of the events that happened during 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. East African Standard Time during Sunday, as the revelers happened to be out there partying. But in the time of partying, the security threat comes in. There are robbers. I would say these are not armed robbers. They are physical robbers. Someone punches you with his fist and then takes your belongings. People lost borders, people lost their phones, and it's going to be very scary for someone who doesn't have a personal vehicle to move in the night. And in a time when you can clearly say, we're excited, the economy is back, I think even the thieves are going to use this time to try as much as they can to revive their pockets. But I hope that whenever you're moving, be very cautious with the type of people you're moving with. Also during the night time, make sure you're not handling sensitive information with you. In most cases, normally people are advised to move with photocopies of their IDs in the night so that you don't lose your original, or maybe moving with your photocopy of your document so that you do not lose them. I think the only document or the only important thing that you really need to move with in the night can be your phone, because your mobile phone is which you can actually use for to notify anyone if at all something is wrong. However, that is fortunate if it is not robbed off, or if it's not stolen away from if it's not stolen away from you by these thieves and all that. But be very cautious. Also, when you're moving during the night time, be very aware that the thieves are back and willing to actually steal what does not belong to them. And this time around, young boys who do a lot of drugs, and in the night, when you have nobody to actually secure you, you find a group of people of about 6 to 7 and you cannot outbeat them. Try as much as you can to avoid dark places, dark corners, and make sure you get back home in time. But with that, let's look at the business reports. And this time around, it takes us to the cargo truck drivers. In 2021, more than 3,000 cargo trucks were parked in Elegu Township, that is in Amuru district, following travel suspension by truck drivers protesting ambushes along the Nimule-Juba highway in South Sudan. The truckers' strike started on 23rd of August 2021 in response to the resurgence of brutal killings of foreign drivers delivering goods to South Sudan. Mwonge William, a manager at Cargo Express, told Smart 24 TV that truck drivers can now breathe as everything is in a fair state. Now, let's have the details of this. Continued armed attacks along the Nimule-Juba highway was increasingly becoming a threat to the bilateral relations between South Sudan and other East African bloc member states such as Rwanda, Burundi, Uganda, Tanzania and Kenya. Last year alone, at least 20 foreign truck drivers were killed in the conflict-prone South Sudan, landlocked country that depends on its neighbors for the importation of essential goods and services. In an interview with Smart 24 TV, Mwonge William, a manager at Cargo Express, said that everything is at a fair state now.
You may knock a person or something small, maybe something small, not even a person. You may knock, maybe there's no negotiations. Maybe you may have to talk to your fellow driver and you finish something small, which can take like which can take like maybe 200,000. You might find even it takes you like 15 millions. So something small there, they don't have small things like in accidents like that. But at least now the situation now has calmed down. Everything now is moving on well. However, there are some few things which are not going on very well, moving on well. Yes, but at least the situation has improved.
Truck drivers destined for South Sudan in the same year packed and protested armed attacks on their colleagues. This came a few days after South Sudan authorities had handed over the bodies of 4 Ugandan drivers who were shot dead in Ganjilanya County along the Yei-Juba Road in South Sudan. However, Muwonge said that relations between Sudanese and foreigners has been improved. He said that they faced with other problems like discrimination and in the clearing process.
We are facing, actually most of the challenges we are facing, they are in South Sudan, not in Uganda. Most of the challenges we have in this business, they are in South Sudan. One, now like in most cases we lose our goods that we transport to South Sudan. We lose them, they steal them from customs when they are clearing them. Yes, they steal. Secondly, some of these clients, they are not genuine people. You find the client brings a box of which we are not going to open all these boxes, all these luggages you are seeing, like the sacks, we are not going to open them. So now you find sometimes you cannot open everything. So sometimes they put in illegal things.
The government of Uganda expressed its concern in the past and condemned the killing, said a statement issued in Uganda's parliament by John Mulimba, Minister of State in charge of regional cooperation.
That they are going to check and see what is inside or this and this. So for them they just cut, as they normally do. So in Nakawa here, they cut and they see what is inside. So in most cases, when they open and they find illegal thing, so they put a blame on us as transporters. Yes, even the owners are there. And for them, when they see the owners, even if you take them the owners, that this is the owner of the box, let him tell you what he exactly put there. He doesn't want to take that. They don't want to take the owner because he's a Sudanese. He's a citizen, yes. For them, they want to blame the whole to the Ugandans. Yes. There is that, I don't know. Yes, but when you are not a Sudanese,
In April 2021, Uganda asked South Sudan to compensate families of drivers who were killed by unknown militia in different road ambushes. That aside, when you look at situations regarding the reopening of the economy, on a high note for the truck drivers, mainly in the northern part of Uganda, these are people who are clearly looking at the positivities coming out of there, is that now they claim that they are free to move at this time. They feel the pressure is not too much, as they actually expect that this year would be a very good one for them to pick up from the positivities. But that aside, we are clearly thinking that the security threat, mainly for the truck drivers now, will be reduced, because most of them are scared that in the long run they will be attacked by these armed robbers. Like I was mentioning earlier, with the borders reopening and the economy back forth and running, there is also another big threat for most of you who are actually moving late in the night, because now the thieves are back, and this time around in full force. But with that, we could clearly try to be very cautious when we are moving late in the night. Yes, Rita?
Have you encountered any thieves yet?
No, I haven't.
You're already highlighting about it.
There are very many.
Akayondo.
No, there are very many. Over the weekend, a number of thieves were happening in Kampala.
Okay.
And a number of people have been losing property.
Yeah, border reopening after curfew has been lifted by President Museveni. I call it a long awaited, because I mean, give me a high five. We advocated for this. We advocated for the lifting of the curfew, and now it's free, and you are able to sleep even if you want on your border full time, 24 hours, 24/7 on the road. But after KCCA heard about the reopening, it also had to come out to give guidelines and make sure sure that some of them that I'm going to mention, and also the story will be coming in more detailed on how you will be able, you know, to drive around the city or to ride around the city center very effectively. Number one, I'm not going to talk about the helmet and all that. That has been there, but there are now an additional guidelines that a border ride around Kampala, around areas near Kampala has to follow now. You have to get registered under one stage around town if you're going to drive around. Why is my are you border? It's like a border rider.
No.
You're smiling about the guidelines. They are making you happy.
No, I'm looking at it in a way
You've
that
got to have a stage and which you're operating from. If you're to ride from the Kampala city center, the CBD. So they have not highlighted that actually they're going to be out of the city center, but this time around, you've got to be under one stage. Kateri stage, simanye ya mapera, Mukasa, simanye whatever street, Buganda Road Street. So it has to be one stage so that you are all identified as one border stage of Kampala city center, whereas the outcasts of the city have to have their own stages identified with different uniforms. When Nansa now bayambala green, you come from Kajansi.
You know why I'm trying to laugh at the time.
Why?
Because first and foremost, I'm trying to look at this. The border is being organized more, but that organization is more like taxis. And for the borders, we all know these as defiant human beings. I will try to look at this to see how far the government will pull off with this. All those in the city, mainly. Because to regulate borders out in the outskirts can be maybe a bit difficult.
But the ones, if
ones
you're going to
this,
be accessing the city, like you're coming from Kajansi on a Bajaj Sonko, your border rider has got to have an identified uniform written on their Kajansi, and that uniform has to take on the whole of Kajansi stage.
Oh,
that is how it is.
Now, that aside, let's try to first have a look at this particular story regarding the Microfinance Support Center. The institution highlighted on 20 years of financial inclusion, as the center was established in August 2001 from the Rural Microfinance Support Project, which was designed to provide microfinance services to the rural poor in line with the Uganda Poverty Eradication Action Plan in 1996. Now, let's have a look at the institution highlighting on 20 years of financial inclusion, as Gloria Mbabazi reports.
Microfinance Support Center was established in August 2001 from Rural Microfinance Support Project, which was designed to provide microfinance services to the rural poor in line with the Uganda Poverty Eradication Plan 1996. Upon establishment, Microfinance Support Center continued to implement the Rural Microfinance Support Project until its completion in 2008. Since then, Microfinance Support Center has carried on the objectives of the project, among which is to facilitate access to affordable financial services. During a press brief at the Uganda Media Center, Helen Masika, the Deputy Executive Director, Microfinance Support Center, highlighted the performance Microfinance Support Center for the last 20 years.
Members of the press, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the Board of Directors of the Microfinance Support Center, management and staff, I am pleased to announce that we have reached an exciting milestone of the 20 years of existence of financial inclusion and contribution towards Uganda's socio-economic transformation journey.
Over the last 20 years, Microfinance Support Center has delivered capacity building and cheap microcredit to qualifying Ugandans through a branch network of 12 zones, 4 satellite offices and agents located in every district of Uganda. Primarily lending to cooperatives and agriculture sector, Microfinance Service Center gradually expanded its client base and target sectors to ensure more categories of Ugandans were included on the journey to a market-led economy.
Over the last 20 years, the Microfinance Support Center has delivered capacity building, and cheap microcredit to qualifying Ugandans through a branch network of the 12 zonal offices and then satellite offices. Against, with a combination of agents, we also work through our partner organizations to reach out to the communities. The zonal offices, the 12 zonal offices I'm talking about, they are located in Arua. We have Soroti, Moroto, Lira. Then we have a regional office in Mbale, Jinja, Kampala, Hoima, Masaka, Mbarara, Kabale, and then Kabarole.
Helen says Microfinance Support Center has extended financing to groups, micro, small and medium enterprises, and pioneered the introduction of Islamic microfinance in Uganda, with total investments amounting to 82 billion Ugandan shillings at the close of 2021.
The Microfinance Support Center extends financial services to groups, to microfinance institutions, or at times they call them MFIs. You've heard about them. They extend credit to the citizens of our country. Then we also reach out to small and medium enterprises. And here we're not looking at the big ones. We are looking at the micro, the small ones that are supporting the agricultural value chain. Then we're also supporting the VSLAs. These are Village Savings and Loan Associations. They normally have crowds of our community members. There are some community members that have decided to join associations, which at times they call VSLAs, and they're not interested in circles. Before, we used to serve circles, and then we realized the bigger part of the community that is not being served, actually, it is cocooned in the VSLAs. So we cascaded our support to the VSLAs. That's how we are able to reach many numbers in terms of women, in terms of the disabled, in terms of the youth.
In 2019, the government entrusted Microfinance Service Center with the Presidential Initiative on Job and Wealth Creation Program, EMIOG, further strengthening its mandate by absorbing more financially excluded Ugandans. Cumulatively, government through the Microfinance Support Center has invested 600 billion over the 20 years, creating employment opportunities and increasing household incomes for millions of Ugandans.
That aside, let's continue with the weekend highlight, the highlights of the weekend, highlights of the business during the weekend, I would say. So mainly, if you're to look at what is happening throughout the country, Rita, I don't know.
What's wrong with you?
What has been, I'm trying to look at
So for telling me how the border stole you, please share with us.
One of my experiences very early in the morning, I would say this guy I've actually said, I actually had things in my head saying this guy is good at riding. He can ride a good getaway. You know these movies that have getaway rides. But apparently, you know, very early in the morning, these people don't have change. So I give in my 10K to get change, and the best I receive is 2K. So even up to now, I'm still thinking, with sometimes this economy,
they do it intentionally.
The man was like, I'm very sorry, but I don't have change.
Sometimes, honestly, border riders do this intentionally when they notice that. When they notice, you don't tell them earlier that onamo omtwalo change obebiri nakulinda no sirika. So giving you back the change, it tells you, you know what, I don't have. Why didn't you tell me earlier so that we try to alliance with the change? But speaking still on borders, you know, it's still on what has happened during the weekend. They are now free. Others are even chanting about President Museveni Kubera, the one who brought me this morning. You know, there is a lot of traffic, so you have to jump on a border to very very be fast to work because there is a lot of traffic jam on different roads, but traffic will also be coming up very soon. But the border rider that I was on this morning was telling me, you know what? Museveni agirabeerawo yatutadde. So this implies that actually people do not know their rights in this country. Some people are ignorant, and we don't put them on. I don't want to put it onto them, but you being free is not. I mean, it should not be chanted about and being praising, you know, the person who has let you free. That's your right for you to be free, I mean. But nonetheless, we're happy you're there now going to make money out of that. But I was also highlighting on how you are going to be driving into the city. So one of the guidelines KCCA came out with, and they will be coming out very officially, that our border, Kaunya Mojiman, Jabakulaba Motokechi. Yes. So they are going to kaunyemu you. They are going to make sure your head is very sober and your mind is sober to be on Kampala Road, or not Kampala Road, but to be around the streets of Kampala. So this is going to come that they are going to the traffic
I also want to also ask something regarding that kaunyemu, that thing used for
kaunyemu, testing alcohol.
Isn't
testing if you're sober really.
If when you look at the healthy threats attached to it, everyone uses the same thing, isn't it? Health-wise,
sanitizer is there.
But
they're going to be sanitizing it.
But anyway, at the time when you look at the drunkards, I think they don't care late in the night. Anyone will just, for them, there was also some video I used to see training online. I think it was of a Kenyan. And they were asking him, and he was like, when you get me driving like a rat, you don't touch me like a rat. And he was very drunk at the time. And for him, he felt like he was so strong, and yet he was completely drunk. So I think kaunyem for the borders will also
it's going to be working out for people's safety, especially those people who, you know, riders when they are hyped, when they are drunk, when they are marijuana influenced. So this time you'll be sure that at least at a point, at least at a point, traffic will halt you down and get to, you know, maybe check on you somehow. But for the weekend, I also had with good news for SMB actually. So I happened to go to I happened to go to a certain bank in Gayaza. That's Centenary actually. So there's Skadi there, the security personnel. So you know, you have your mask on, I have my specs on, no any recognition. And then I happen to speak. It's like, do you have a sister working with Smart 24 TV?
And then you're like,
yeah, that's me. You know, they're funded there. Beto is a funded Jacob, if I'm to remember the name, because he tells me he watches daily. So he really grabbed me a strong hug. Like, I like you so much. I watch every day. So please keep watching us. Every time we're going to be passing maybe on one of your streets, and maybe leave a soda for you and help you to drive business together.
Apparently
so,
have an
did
account.
You have any good news?
I have an account from there. The good news, no, my week has not started on a good note with the Boda man, but I would say the weekend has been fairly okay.
Yeah, I also happened to, you know, for a long time, I've not been, you know, out. So I happened to also go out, by the way, and had some time for myself. Yes, sometimes you have to make yourself happy, you know, and make the body strong, appreciate the body, give it at least the token of appreciation, so that the next day you're going to wake up like me here in the vibe mood. Yeah.
And definitely you need to treat right that body, because it is the body that makes the money. So sometimes you have to eat that money. And that aside, after the break, we're going to have a discussion to do with the borders. And I have the CEO, Kasita, among us the topics that we're going to be talking greatly after that. But before that, Rita, when you look at the situation of the borders that we're going to be discussing about, you mentioned going out during the weekend and trying as much as you can to refresh. Earlier on in the SMB Insight, we also touched on the issue of saving, like for retirement. It has been a topic that we've had here in discussion for quite a long time. And there's one thing I've picked out mainly is that whenever we are maybe running a business, we need to look at how much the business makes
on
then
it.
we pick out maybe a few of these profits to save for retirement. But that aside, with the fact that the enjoyments are back, which advice can you clearly give to someone who's running a business at this time, not to overspend this money in this enjoyment part?
Okay, so we appreciate the economy is reopened. So if you are that party animal out there and then you want to save again, make sure you choose nowadays. Choose a weekend in a month. You say, okay, in a month I'm going to happen once. If I'm going to spend on maybe drinking and happening and going to have fun, I'm going to spend it once in a month. So you go out once. And then you influence your friends. I know you've got company who are there always say, okay, we go and have fun, we're going to have fun. But tell them, I'm not investing this time. So if there is anyone going to take you out that day, make them, pay for everything, pay for the bills. Maybe you can just do the transportation of your own. And if you're lucky enough, they can even provide transportation. So that is the second week in a month. So one is yours, second is for your friends. And if you're a lady, there's some people who are always there sometimes to appreciate your looks, to appreciate you and say, you know what, hey, can I offer you lunch or can I offer you dinner? That's a third one in a week. If you're to do 3, but if you're to do 1 for self-responsibility for yourself, that's okay. I mean, it's not a crime not to go happen and have fun. You can always have fun at home. Buy your drinks, 1 or 2, jump around the chairs, run around. For me, that's it, really. And you will be able to save. Do not be influenced by pressure groups that we have, because they will not pay for the bills at the end of the month.
Definitely. They will not be there when you're paying the bills, but they will be there when you're spending that money. Well, after the break, we continue with the discussions to do with the borders reopening fully. And joining me on set will be the CEO, Casita, and we shall be digesting 1 or 2 things regarding this matter. Stick around.